Ladies and gentlemen, we meet again towards Parashat Chukat in Israel, which is Parashat Korach in Chutz La'aretz, abroad. And we find an interesting point in Parashat Korach, that when Korach comes to Moshe Rabbeinu and complains that he's appointed his brother Aaron HaKohen to be the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, Moshe responds to Korach and says an interesting comment. It says, "Va'aron mahu kitalinu alav," which means, how come you are complaining about Aaron? Mahu, what is he? That is a rare expression. What is he? What is ma? What does the word memhei, ma, really mean? And we find in the Maharal, Rabbi Yehuda Levi from 400 years ago, Prague, Czechoslovakia, he explains something amazing, which is ma is half a word. Why? Because we have ma in two different ways of explaining. We have ma rabu ma'aseh Hashem, which means how great are your deeds, or ma tovu alecha Yaakov, how great are the tents of Am Yisrael, which means incredibly big, infinitely great. And we have the opposite, va'anachnu ma, says Moshe. Well, who are we? We're nothing. Ma enosh ki tizkerenu. Who is the human being next to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? We're nothing, infinitely small. So what does ma really mean? Does ma mean infinitely great or infinitely small? So the Maharal explains, like we have yad and yadayim and regel and raglayim, so we have ma and mayim. Ma is 45 in Gematria and mayim is 90. And mayim is the plural of ma. Why? Because ma can be infinitely great, because we can't have life without water. Water is the key to life, whether it's in vegetation, whether it's an animal, whether it's in human life, we have to have water. So it's infinitely great. On the other hand, and it's infinitely low, because it always gravitates to the lowest point, and it's without a smell and without a taste and without a color. And it's low, it's the lowest thing, and it's the highest thing at the same time. And the Maharal explains the pasuk in the first chapter of Tehillim about the tzaddik. A tzaddik is et shatul al palgei mayim. A tzaddik is sitting on both sides, palgei is two, at the split of the word mayim, which means a tzaddik has to know when to stand up and deliver and be infinitely great, and when to be small and be infinitely small, and be humble and have humility. And now we go back to Moshe Rabbeinu answering Korach and says, "Va'aron mahu kitalinu alav." How can you complain against Aaron? Aaron knows how to be very, very humble. But you, Korach, you don't know how to be humble. You've got no idea. You know how to be great, yeah, and leader, that's fine, but could you know what humility is all about? Aaron knows how to be, what humility is all about. He was happy when he saw his brother getting the biggest job in Jewish history. And he saw Moshe Rabbeinu, he was happy for him. And that shows his humility, and that's why he can go into Kodesh HaKodeshim on Yom Kippur and show his humility. Now we can move on to Parshas Chukas. Parshas Chukas is all about mayim, is all about water from beginning to end. We're talking about water, whether it's the red heifer. In the beginning, you hear v'rahatz b'saro b'mayim, v'yichabes b'gadav b'mayim, and everything has got to do with mayim. And if we go further, we find out that Bnei Yisrael were complaining. What are they complaining? They don't have mayim, they don't have water. And then what happens? Moshe Rabbeinu gets water from the rock, mayim again, and then Moshe is not going into Eretz Yisrael because of the water. And the whole parsha is talking about in and out of water. So let's now look at the concept of water from a different angle. what is the role of water here? We have to understand this parsha is talking about tum'ah, about a concept which is incorrectly translated in English to unclean or impure. But what does tum'ah really mean? So to understand that, again, I need the help of the Maharal, and he tells us that it's a psychological condition. Why? Because when is a person tamei? When he confronts either waking up in the morning or going to the toilet or losing semen or menstrual blood or a dead body, and all these are experiences of facing your mortality. You wake up in the morning, you say, "I was dead for a few hours." You get out of the toilet, and you say, "Mi pata echad mehem, or isatem echad mehem." I couldn't live if my body couldn't relieve itself. And semen and menstrual blood are all potentials of life that went down the drain. And the highest level is, of course, facing a dead body. Seeing a dead body is the highest level of tum'ah. And since that is, when a person faces his mortality, a person gets into a type of a shock, and he has difficulty. It's a kind of a post-trauma. He can't deal with reality. So what is the solution? The solution is always got to do with water. This is what the Raavad, Rabbi Avraham ben David, who lived 800 years ago in France, brings down in the beginning of Masechet Tanit. As far as water is concerned, water is always the solution for tumah, for all this. Why mayim? Because mayim chayim. Mayim is the key to life. Whilst tumah is confronting our mortality, is feeling and relating to death, mayim is always relating to life. And as I mentioned before, there's no form of life that could live without a high percentage of water, whether it's vegetation or animal or human. We need water. And this, as water is a key to life on a higher level, on a different level as well, which is water is immortal. Water, when you touch water, you're touching infinity. How come? Because we know the water cycle, that it evaporates from a puddle and goes to the cloud, and the cloud rains on the mountain sends the water down back to the puddle, which means water is indestructible. Water is inanimate, so it cannot reproduce, but it also cannot be nullified, because if you try and burn it, it just evaporates, it changes its state of matter, it changes its form, but it doesn't. It's still there, and therefore it will rain again, and it'll come down back to us. That means there is a cycle. When we touch water, we're touching something which is infinite, and that gives us strength when we are facing our mortality, because there is a second thing which is infinite, and that is our neshama, our soul. Because for 120 years we are in a form of solid. We're in a solid form, and one day after 120 years, our soul, our neshama, evaporates, but it's not lost. It goes into a different state of a different state of what do we call it? Accumulation mode, a different state of matter. Our neshama evaporates, and it's going to come back in Tchias HaMesim. When Mashiach comes, we will relive. We will come back into our body. It'll be raining. And go and have a look. Every time it says Ata Gibor L'Olam Hashem, we say in davening, B'chayei Meitim Ata Rav L'Shia, Mashiv HaRuach Mored HaGeshem. The whole concept of water, of rain, and Tchias HaMesim is the same. And that's why even when we confront difficult mortality issues and we get into some type of trauma, we should be encouraged by being in contact with water that helps us touch eternity. Wishing you all Shabbat Shalom.